The Sikha we will be learning is in Likutei Sichos, Chelik Chavov, the first Sikha to Parsha Shemos. Now, one of the things it talks about in the Parsha Shemos is the birth of Moshe Rabbeinu, and we know Moshe Rabbeinu was born on the seventh day of Adar Zayin Adar. So the Sikha talks about the birth of Moshe Rabbeinu. B'kesher mit Yom Leidas Moshe Rabbeinu, in connection to the day that Moshe Rabbeinu was born, Zogen Chazal, the Chachamim tell us, at the Bittel von Gzeres Homen, die gewähren verbunden mit dem Schus Meyuchet von dem Tag. So the Chachamim tell us that the nullification of the decree of Haman to Chas v'Sholom kill all the Yidden, so the fact that it was nullified is connected to the special merit of that day. This is what the Gemara says. Tana, we learned like this. When Haman threw the lots, which day to make the decree on to kill all the Yidden. So when it came out of the month of Adar, Somach Simchot Day, Haman was very happy. Omar, he said, the lots came out, it fell in the month that Moshe Rabbeinu passed away. So he thought, so since it's a month that Moshe Rabbeinu passed away, it's an unlucky month for the Yidden. It's a negative thing that he passed away. So he was very happy that it came out in an unlucky time for the Yidden. But Gemara says, but he did not know that on the seventh day of Adar, Moshe Rabbeinu died, but also on the seventh day of Adar, he was born. Is Rasha the Ruf Mafarish? Rasha explains that the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu was born then is worth, so to speak, will erase the fact that he died on that day. What is Rasha trying to tell us here? So the Rebbe says, "Bepashta b'vorn the Rasha." In simple pshat, the Rasha is trying to explain something, to answer a certain possible question, because one might ask, the Gemara says he didn't know that Moshe Rabbeinu was also born. So true, Shiva, the seventh day of Adar, has the mila that Moshe Rabbeinu was born, but it still has the thing that Moshe Rabbeinu passed away on that day. So why is the fact that Moshe was born better, greater to the day that he passed away? As der Farsal bottle when der Inyan built the Rotzif in dem Tag als Yema Istalkus. That the day that he was born is so strong, better overpowers the fact that he passed away on that day, which is a negative thing. So why is the fact that he was born overpower the fact that he was passed away? He said Asher Mafaya, so that's what Asher explains. Kedaya Leida Shetachaper Alam, he said that the fact that he was born is mechaper on the death, the fact that he died. Mechaper, as the Rebbe will say, means wipes out. The Leida is mechaper vishtop, the fact that Moshe was born then is mechaper, and the word kapora, usually we translate it as forgive, but the real meaning of the word kapora is wiping out, which is connected to forgiving for an Aveira also, that it wipes out the Aveira. So the fact that he was born wipes out, because kapora is Loshen Kenuach V'Avora. The Alter Rebbe says in the Geras HaTshuva, taken from Rashi, that the word kapora means wiping out, that the fact that he was born wipes out the minyan bilti rotzef in Togal say Misas Moshe, the negative part of the day that Moshe Rabbeinu passed away in that day. The Rebbe asks, you have to understand. First glance, it should be the opposite. Misa kommt noch der Leide. Und mevatel pulos ha-Leide. Nicht verkehrt. When a person dies, it's the opposite of the idea of being born. It comes, first of all, it comes after the birth. First you're born, then later on, person dies. And when you die, it takes away the fact that you were born. But not the opposite. Not the fact that you were born takes away the fact that you died. Nesev of the Shaila Namas Adasvora is in movement, besides the question we just asked, which is a question from logic. Logically, the death comes afterwards, so the death is stronger, so to speak, takes away is Mavatal, the fact that you were born. So that's a question from logic. But he says, besides that, we don't understand. So it's a clear posik in Kehelis, that the day a person passes away is better, is greater than the day he was born. And with the Medrash is Mavayr, as the Medrash in Kehelis Rabbi explains, when the person is born, we still don't know what his actions are going to be, what he's going to be. Is he going to be good or is he going to be chas v'sholem bad? But the day that tzaddik passes away, if he's a tzaddik, we know already that he did everything properly and he left the world in peace. B'teira, ma'asim tovim, b'teira, and good deed, etc. So the posuk makes it clear that the day that the person dies is greater than the day that the person is born. Befrat, like with the Alter Rebbe is mavayim gate leiluf yemis talkushim sal tzadikim, especially with the Alter Rebbe in Tanya in the Geras HaKodesh explains the specialty of the day that the tzaddik passes away. As demult where the shleimus from kol ma'asav with terosav avidose ashravat b'kol yimei chayav, that day all the Aved he did, all the actions he did, the Torah that he learned, the Avodas Hashem that he did in all his life, come to its completion. When the Rebbe is a Eis Rotzen, so it becomes an auspicious day. But his pale Yeshua is Bekerev Oretz. It's a day that can cause salvation in this earth, in this world. So the Alter Rebbe explains the greatness of the day that the person passes away. So now we have a great question. How do we say that the day of the birth has a mile, something over greater than the day that he passed away? And not only that, Rashi says that it forgives, it means wipes out the fact that he died on that day. When we do say the opposite, in Posuk it says the day that you pass away is greater than the day you were born. Especially the way the Medrash stresses that the day a person is born, there's no reason to be happy. Because at that point we don't know which direction he will go. But what will be his maisim, his actions? Will he be a tzaddik or chas v'sholom the opposite? The Medrash says, but when a person dies, then you should be happy. He died with a nice name. So here also we see that the union of the death is stronger than the birth. Then the Rebbe says, one might say like this, that when the person passes away, so it reveals the goodness of the day he was born. It's safe, the end proves for the beginning, and therefore the day that he was born also becomes a special day. Als der Tag when Nishmas HaTzadik is a Rabbi Kuman of the Welt. It's a day that the Neshama of the Tzadik, now that he passed away and we saw that he was a Tzadik, now we look back, we say, oh, this day he was born was the day that the Neshama of the Tzadik came down to this world. So, in other words, it comes out that even though it depends on the day he passes away, but doesn't that prove that the day he was born was great? So the Rebbe says, but still, it all depends on the day he died. The day he died, because the day he died, that proves, later it proves that the day he was born, because he died b'shem tov, the day he was born was special. But it's all a result of the day he passed away. Since the whole mile of the day he was born is because of the day he passed away, so how could the day he was born be greater than the day he passed away if that's only a result of the day he passed away when we saw he passed away with a good name? So we have to understand, how could we say that the day that he was born overrides and wipes out the day that he passed away? We also have to understand from the other angle. According to that medrash that we said before, and the way the Alter Rebbe explains that the day you pass away, the whole Aveda of the Tzaddik comes together and they all come to their shleimus, to their completion. In the that we said before, the greatness of the day you pass away, that makes a kashe. The Gemara have given that time for was in the Sapur b'shiva boders and schus v'chas mavat l'gzeres homon. The Gemara needs a reason why the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu Moshe Rabbeinu passed away on the day that in the month of Shiva Oder, and he thought it's a negative day, so he's lucky. And the Gemara says no, he's wrong. And the Gemara is telling us a reason. Why is it the fact that this was the day the month that Moshe passed away is not a negative day? So why does the Gemara say that the reason it's a good day because Moshe Rabbeinu was born on that day? Based on what we said before, the greatness of the Tzaddik's passing, the Gemara says that in the fact that he passed away in that month, in that itself, the Gemara should have said, "As Yem Shemos beMoshe, the Mifcha ben Elusha, the Grestes Chusva can pay Shus beKerovaretz." That the day that Moshe Rabbeinu passed away, who's Moshe? Moshe was the chosen, as the Rambam says, the chosen human being of the world, and the day he passed away, and we said before how special it is the day that tzaddik passes away. That's what the Gemara said. Haman thought it was a bad day, and the Gemara should have said, but he made a mistake, because it's really a good day, not because it was born on that day. The Gemara could have said it's a good day because the day that Moshe Rabbeinu, the greatest person in the world, passed away. And that's, as we said before, the Alter Rebbe says that tzaddik passes away, so it's such a special day. Pale Yeshua's Bekerev orders that could cause salvation, so that could be a good reason why this caused the bitl Gzeiros Shalom, why it nullified the Gzeir of Haman. So why didn't the Gemara say that? But then the Gemara says, "Kemovin is self-understood as Kankasha." Says nicht Kankasha nit for was Haman Simcha Gdeidlam and Tzadem was Nafel Lepur Be'erach Shemes B'Meisha. You can't ask, well, if it's so special, the day that he passed away, so why was Haman so happy to begin with when he figured out, when he saw that it came out in the month that Mesha passed? That's no kasha. Haman did not know how special it is, how good it is the day that the tzaddik passed away. The Mele, he thought it was a negative day. But the Gemara could have answered. The Shaila is over, the Gemara in their Maskona. Why in the Gemara, when the Gemara says why it's a good day at the end, why the Gemara doesn't say in them that Haman didn't know? So the Gemara should have said not Haman didn't know that Moshe was born that day. Haman didn't know that the time that tzaddik passed away is great. That's what the Gemara should have said. Why does the Gemara say that it's because of the birth of Moshe Rabbeinu? The Shleimer Rabbi says we can say the pshat like this. Even though this idea that the day a person passes away is greater than the day he was born, and that's by every person, even by tzaddikim. Because even by tzaddikim, when the person is born, we still don't know what he's going to do. So that's the reason why by every person, even by a tzaddik, the day he passed away is greater than the day he was born. Moshe Rabbeinu is an exception to the rule. But because when Moshe was born, the Torah says she saw right away that he's good. And the Chazal Zainu das Mefarish, the Chacham explained, that when Moshe was born, the house got full of light. Steike beim Gebäude werden ist Moshe Meir hat die Moshe Meir gewähnt der Eira Schchine, Beifen hat das beleuchten im ganzen Weiß. And right when he was born, already by Moshe shined the light of the Schchine, like it says in Zohar, the form had lit up the whole house. Das heißt, it means that after Bishas Yaderidi Mashiach wird geboren, wird mit sein Etzem Leid aufgetan an Ayam Shach mit der Kuss und Welt. True is like this. Anytime a Yid is born, any Yid, whoever he is, the fact that he was born, it brings a certain flow of godliness in the world. Why? Another neshama, which is part of Hashem, came down to this world. So that's by every Yid. Certainly, if the child that's born has a neshama of tzad, because we know that there are certain people that get neshamas or that have the potential of being a tzaddik. Because the Chazal tell us Basra that the Eibishter created tzaddikim. The question, when the Eibishter created tzaddikim? To be a tzaddik or a rosha was not made by the Eibishter. It's free choice. Nevertheless, it says that the Eve, I think, told the Eibishter Barossa tzaddikim, "Ad der Eibishter beschaft neshamas miyichodes will hochen the keiches miyichodim tzikenu der greichen dem ad der Eibishter tzaddik." It says in Tanya, yes, that whether to be a tzaddik in actuality, that's up to the person's choice. But there's certain people who get in the neshama that has the potential of being a tzaddik, and not every neshama is like that. So every time a Yid's neshama comes down, there's a special flow of elokus. Certainly, if this is a special neshama, the neshama of the potential of being a tzaddik. So by every Yid is like that. There's a special gilui elokus, not gilui, but a special hamshoch of elokus that comes into the world when he's born. But by other Yidden, by regular Yidden, you can't say that when it's born, you already have the light, the gilui of it. Because Moshe said the Shechina came down in the form of light. By every person, it's not light. Light means that it's revealed. For the neshama is the behelim in guf. When the neshama is born, comes down into this world, it's in the concealment of the body. Und der Giluf Ner and Neshama is totally in Bitter Vesichach Aguf al Aveda. Whether the Neshama will become revealed, that already depends in how much work a person will do, how much purification a person will do to his body. Was mehr menedel to is dem Guf als mehr an plexig in Neshama, es leicht durch ihre Göttlichkeit in der Welt. The more a person purifies his body, the more his Neshama will be revealed to bring the light of godliness in the world. Und der Far sagt man, that's why by every person, even by tzaddikim, we say the day that he passed away is greater than the day he was born. Weil die Keiches Ruchen im Said bekommt, seine B'yemim Volde blaze bekeach. Because when the person is born, a Yid is born, Neshama comes down and has certain Keiches, but it's only bekeach, it's only potential. When they know the midday mamaisiv, you don't know what's going to happen with Pale, what's going to be with his actions. When is it revealed? When is it in the form of light? The day he dies. That's why the day he dies is greater. By Moshe, as soon as he was born, the house was full of light. That means whatever the neshama is, and his special neshama was already begil, it was revealed. By him is that already the light that came with his neshama was at the beginning of his birth already shining. By other tzaddikim, it doesn't shine till later when you do your Aveda. By Meish, it shined b'peil. It actually shined begilud. V'atke dekach so much so as der Eir hat geleucht nicht nur bei ihm allein. The light shined not only in him, it shined into the house. In the form that the whole house became full of light. Full means it took up every part of the house. And in one place, the Rebbe says, in Seite, the Loshen is not Nismala Abayis Kuleiro, but Nismala Kol Abayis. The whole house was full. So by Mesha, this already was Begilui. So Mesha is different. By everybody else, the Yemamis is greater, because till then it's not Begilui. You don't know what's going to be. The Neshama is there, with the Keichas are there, but it's not Begilui, not revealed. It's not in the form of light. By Mesha Rabbeinu, it was already in the form of light. Now, Sinichkin Kashe, der Form was der Medrash Gufe dort alasar darshan den Posik tebi yem amovis mi volde ebene geitze meishe. Churi kedeska kashe. In that Medrash, and where it talks about the Posik tebi yem amovis mi yem volde, that the day of death is greater than the day he was born, the Medrash brings this Posik in connection to Moshe Rabbeinu. Das heißt, seems to be saying, as eich ba Moshe fran an ilu yem amovis gami volde. That, but even by Moshe, the day that he died is greater than the day he was born, because this posuk, which speaks about the day of dying, is also referred to Moshe Rabbeinu. How does it fit to what we said before by Moshe? It's not like that. By Moshe, it was right away, the light was there. So the Rebbe says, it's no problem. But it depends concerning which concept, which aspect we're talking about. When we talk about Moshe's behavior or what Moshe did, certainly there's something special the day he died, the day he was born. Because the day he was born, before he did anything, before he was able to do anything, there was no Aveda, there's no service of Hashem yet. So all the great things are still only by him, as far as his Aveda, are only in potential. So when did his action and his learning and his Aveda reach its completion? Only at the end of his days, the end of his Aveda, when he passed away. So that you say, the day he passed away is greater than the day he was born. The day he passed away, we had his Torah and Aveda in actuality. But in the beginning, when he was born, it's only bekeich, only potential. But the light that shined in Moshe is not connected. It's verbunden mit etzem nishmas Moshe. It's not connected to the Aveda. Akeach for nishmas Moshe. It's connected to the etzem akeach that the neshama has. Sizaninyan was is not totally in avidosa beguf. It's not dependent in what it does with the body. By the tzaddikim, there's only one thing. There's your Aveda. Aveda depends how much you work with your guf, so how much you could reveal what your neshama has. But Moshe, it's not something that has to do with the Zaveda. Something to do with the neshama itself, with the essence of his neshama. But the father was geleuchten bepeil, take it basically does say. Since it's negated to his etzem, which is not negated to Aveda, it could shine in the beginning, before you even started. If it's something that depends on your Aveda, before you did Aveda, it can be Begili. It's not there. It's not there, Bepeil. Bepeil and Begili go together. If it's actuality, there's no actuality in Begili. Here we're not talking about the union of Moshe Rabbeinu's light that has to do with his Aveda. It has to do with Mishama itself. Noch Eider is in Gewen Shaykh Gewen zu Aveda, before he was in Aveda. So this light, this part of the neshama shined right away. It shined right away because the neshama is that type of neshama, and it doesn't depend on the zaveda, so it happened right away. Und der Inyan is nicht nur a hechere Rili wie der Rili hanal for Yom HaMoves. This Inyan is not only something greater than the day of a Moves. No, noch mehr kedai leidet Schapiro misa. The Inyan of the birth wipes out the death, which means it's so strong that it even wipes out and covers up on the fact that he died. So this Inyan is something that has to do with Yom later. As the Rebbe will explain soon. In other words, he's saying that already answered the question, but he didn't explain it. That when we said normally Yom Misa is greater, and by Moshe Rabbeinu it says the Yom later is greater, so he says when we talk about Aveda, even by Moshe the Yom Misa is greater. But when we're talking about something that happens specifically by Moshe, the etzem of the neshama of Moshe, and that's something not in Gate Aveda, and that shined even the day later, and that nekuda, the etzem darge of Moshe's neshama, is greater than the Aveda of Moshe. And b'meila, and since that was shining in the day he is born, that overcomes the death, as the Rebbe will explain. That das verstehen, like in Bir Abachai, in order to understand this, you first have to explain what is this light. I'm saying there's this light of his etzem. What's his etzem? It's the light of his etzem. So the Rabbi Bachai says in the Maimon Chazal Nismalach Alabai Seder, when the Chomim tell us that the whole house became full of light, so the Rabbi Bachai writes like this: As Moshe Rabbeinu mitchilas tildos oyeroye lohoyer es kol olam adei haTorah. It means that Moshe Rabbeinu, from beginning of birth, was roye, was fit to shine up light into the world, the light of Torah. Hier steht, Torah is light. It says Torah. It's a posik mission. There mitzvah the Torah. So when it speaks about light, it's Torah. Or the Maimon Chazal in Gemara says Ein Eira la Torah. Eira, light is Torah. Eira is a Torah. Another place it says Eira is Torah. So the light that we're talking about here, Rabbi Bachai says, is Torah. The light of Torah. From that we understand that the Tchune von Nishmas Moshe Tchilas Toldosei. Therefore we understand that the neshama of Moshe, the characteristic of the neshama of Moshe, which was there, as we said before, in the beginning of his birth, as we said before, at the beginning of his birth, the etzem of his neshama shined already. What is it? It's given zugepasst und zugebunden zu Yonah Shel Torah. That etzem of Moshe's neshama is connected to Torah, because this light that it says here is the light of Torah, and we're saying this is a light that came from not his Aveda, but his etzem neshama. That means that the etzem of neshama of Moshe connected to Torah. Und das Gufi, der Tanfa was nos nafshe eleo, Bizas Nikras al Shmei, Zichar Teres Mei Shavdi. Says in Medrash, Chazal tell us, there's a posik Zichar Teres Mei Shavdi, a posik Malachi. The Eibush says, remember the Torah of Moshe, my servant. And the Chachomim ask, Moshe's Torah. Remember the Torah of Moshe is the Eibush's Torah. So the answer Chazal give, because Nosa Nafshe, he gave his life on, he went up and said his nefesh for Torah, it's Nikras al Shmei. We call it on his name. But what is the depth in that? We're saying that the Torah is called Moshe's Torah. Weil der Kisher v'yichuf von Moshe mit Torah is nicht dazu gegeben, es sagt, sein Etzem Metzias. Because the connection and the unity between Moshe and Torah is not like an additional thing to him. You could have two things connected. You have one thing, and then the second thing connected to you. This would be true if it would be something that came through his Aveda. So there's him, whatever he is, and then there is his Aveda, and then they're connected. But it's not like that. No, sein Neshama, it's not etzem ahusan in Neshama Moshe, but the essence of what it is roya l'hoyer askol about the Atera. Ben Bachai says, fits to shine, to light up the world with Torah. Azea the atzmis for Moshe zein zach Torah. That the etzem of Moshe is one thing with Torah. So when it says Torah is called by Moshe's name, because Moshe and Torah are the same thing. They go together. That's the etzem. If it would be something totally in his Aveda, it's a second thing which he has to acquire. But this is not. This is what Moshe is. Moshe is the union of Torah. He has bought in them. And the Rebbe wants to explain, what does that mean? That Moshe and Torah are one? Because they have the same Nakuda, and he's going to explain it. Chazal tell us, Ein Nemes el Torah. The inyan from Torah is emes. Nothing. Torah is truth. Whenever it says truth, it means Torah. The inyan from Torah is truth. Now, what does truth mean? Now, people think truth means if you don't lie, that's truth. It says no like that. The emes abadait from emes. It's a play on words. The emes, the true meaning of truth, is not nor the shalir from heipach emes. Sheker. It's not only that it negates sheker, a lie, something which is the opposite of emes. Nor emes means the truth in itself means aninyan in velchas is nichaychas kenshinoi. Truth means nothing, something that cannot change. It says nitzchiasnik, it is eternal. The Pasuk says, "Sfas emes tikin lad." Even the border of emes will last forever. And this is, it says in Tanya brings that even that's the Pasuk, "Sfas emes tikin lad." That means that anything that's emes has to be eternal. You can't be dependent on time or space or thing. It's an essentially true. We do the Raya of a Mishnah. There's a proof that brought down from the Mishnah. Mayones trinken zichuis einmal in 7 Jahren werden angerufen Mayim or Nores Hamachazv, seine Apostel Kiddush Mechatos. When the person becomes stomach by touching a dead body, you have to sprinkle on him water mixed with the ashes of the Pora Aduma. But the water have to come from a well, and it has to be, as it says in Pasuk, Mayim Chaim, a live water. And Emes and life go together. It says Hashem Elokim Emes Hu Elokim Chaim. So it means water which cannot be water of a lie. And it says if water, there are certain wells that dry up after a certain amount of time. So if it dries up within 7 years, you can't use it. It's not called Mayim Chaim. It's not emes. It's not truth. So we see what is truth if it continues. And if not, the water is called Mayim Hamachazvin. Chazvin means lying waters, or the rivers which lie. It's not called al derech shek erein leraglayim. Is an expression that says, Chazal say in Eised Rabbi Akiva, sheker, a lie, doesn't have any feet. What does that mean? It can't stand. What do you mean can't stand? Can't stand means can't last. It's only temporary. It's not a lasting thing. Because emes means it's forever. Und das ist der Linie von Teiras emes. This is the pshat that the Torah is emes. Like we use in the bracha. V'nos alonu Teiras emes. He gave us Torah of emes. That means that Torah is nitzchis. It doesn't only mean Torah is not lying. Torah is not a lie. Torah is it's true that this is the Torah. It means Torah is forever. It says it's not, no change could be made. B'loshen Rambam, like the Rambam writes, as Torah is a medis leilam leilam. Torah stands forever and ever. Ein lo leishinu v'leigeroyim v'leiteisus. You can't change it. There's nothing to subtract, nothing to add. Torah is nicht unterworfen die Shinui Asman. Torah is not under the control of the changes of time, or the Änderung for in the Bnei Yodem Mekabelem Later, or changes that happen to people who are the ones that learn Torah, that receive the Torah. It's not dependent on them. Nor in alle Umständen bleibt sie dieselbe Torah. Onshnuim, in all circumstances, the Torah is the same, no changes. So Torah and emes go together. Torah is emes. Emes means it's an eternal and a fact, an essential fact. That's what it is. Maybe I give an example. It's an elementary example. For instance, use as an example of a fact. A true fact. True fact is 1 and 1 equals 2. So someone could say, well, this year it's 2, but next year it'll become 1 and 1 equals 3. Can't be. That's a fact. Or in America, 1 and 1 equals 2. In Russia, 1 and 1 equals 3. It's not true. Can be. Because if this is a fact, it's a fact, it's a fact. That's what emes is. And that's what Torah is. Torah doesn't change in anything. That could be a reason why the Chachamim tell us that whatever a proper Talmud Chacham will be Mechadesh, any new ideas that Talmud Chacham will say in the future, it was already given in a hinted way or in a hidden way to Moshe Rabbeinu in Sinai. Why? Paul says, there can't be anything new in Torah. If we'll say something, a person could be mechadesh something new in Torah, that means there's something added to Torah. If Torah is essential, what it is, it is. You can't really add anything to it. Now, we do call it a chidush. People, mechadesh chidushim, they say, no, give new ideas in Torah. So it's only called, in the borrowed name, a chidush. But that's not a real chidush. That's what the Rebbe says here. It's not shaykh, it's to add amitis, a real addition that can be. On the Riber, therefore, Eibdos is Teire, if it's like a true idea and it's a part of Teire, is those Guf Araya as a Shishen gegeben geworden lo Moshe Messinai. That the best proof it was given already to Moshe Messinai. Because if it wouldn't be given, that means there's a change, an addition of Torah can be. And if it's a true idea in Torah, it's included in what the Torah was given, it's always there. Now, there is an obligation, Hora 8, that 38, the Rebbe says that brings from the Zayah, different places, that you have to be Mechadish, but that's not a real Chidush. If a person Mechadish, a real Chidush, something that's really new, never hinted in what was given to Moshe, it's not Torah. So Torah is emes, and therefore, if something is Torah, has to be already given in the Sinai. But the bottom line, the Nakuda the Rebbe said here is trying to explain the connection of Moshe and Torah. So he explains that Torah is emes. Now he's going to go a further step in the fact that Torah is emes. L'yeser bir to explain it even more. Das was Torah endet sich nicht mit Zadishinui Azman Chulu. This that we said that Torah will not change, does not change because times change. He says, it's not because Torah did not descend into time and space. You could think Torah is beyond time and space. Okay? So it does not change by time and space because it has nothing to do with time and space. It's not true, the Rebbe says. It's not because Torah has no connection, didn't come down into time and space. Adarabbe, contrary. Torah's Leib Hashemayim, ist sie gegeben geworden und gefindt sich lamata bodas daft. It says Torah is not in heaven. Torah was given and is found down here. In der Welt, was gefindt sich it's in the world that is under the changes of time. We find that, but it says in Gemara, Rabbi brings that Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Har Sinai to receive the Torah, and he had to explain to Malachim why the Torah was given to Eden, not to them. He asked them, you came down to Mitzrayim. In other words, he's telling them the Torah is dafke given to a place that's low. Dafke to down here, people have a Yetzirah. So it doesn't mean Torah is not given or not found in a place which is beyond time and space. But the Pirish in them is as vi Torah gefindt sich lamata boretz. What it means is that as Torah is found in this oretz, down here, und afilo when sie wird gelernt durch Hanot and Tomei, and even if Torah is learned by somebody who is impure, is in ir wird nicht geschehen. In Torah doesn't become a shinoi. The din is, it says that a person who's tummy is allowed to learn Torah, because Torah is not affected by the fact that he's tummy. Tummy is no good, so you should be affected, and the Torah should be affected and become different. No. It's found in the world, and it's found in person tummy learns Torah. It's found there, and nevertheless the Torah is not changed. The proof that this is really truth, emes, in der Fum, was ihr bleibt in selben Mahusim, mit denselben Teke, Wumatum, in Nalat Noim. The fact that it stays the same, with the same Mahus, and the same strength, all over, in all conditions, this that we said before, the Torah comes down to time and space. That the time and space is up to changes, which shows that it's not emes. If it be emes, it can't change. So when the Torah is found in time and space, dort bleibt sie nitzchis. Even over there, it is eternal and is not to change. That's the real meaning of emes and Torah. That while it's in a place of changes, it doesn't change. Yeshteit, the posix of emes Hashem le'elam, that means that the emes of Hashem is in the world. So the way the Rebbe teaches, the emes Hashem, the emes Havaya is meir in elam. The emes Havaya lo elam. In the world, you have the emes Havaya. But the farmer said, and because Torah is emes, the emes of Hashem, even in the world, it's possible that something of Gashmias, which is in its own sheker, Gashmias is part of the world. The world, Elam Hazeh, is called Alma de Shikra, a world of lie. Now, world of lie doesn't mean that people lie. That's true also, but that's not why the world is Elam HaSheker. A world is not nitzchi. The world is not eternal. The world is not really in itself a true thing in itself. Nevertheless, you could take something of the Gashmis, the part of the world, and it could be changed to a Dover Shabbat. You take a piece of leather, which is part of the physical things. So it's part of the Elam HaSheker. And you could change that to make something holy out of it. Why? Because the Torah, it's through Torah that you do this. That Torah is emes, even while it's in this Elam Hazeh. So you could take something of Elam Hazeh, of Sheker, and turn it into something holy, which is emes. Yes, Shleimer Adoside Asbor in the Maimer Chazal, you could say that this is the explanation of what the Chachamim tell us. Shas Matan Torah Tzchuv Giton Chorus ala Luches Cherus Malachim. The Posek says that the words were carved out on the Luches. The word carved out is Chorus, but the Chazal tell us that the word Chorus could also have another meaning. Chorus comes from word freedom. That when the Eibishter gave the Eden the Torah became Cherus Malachim. They became free from the angel of death, which means that at that moment, if nothing would have changed, no one would die. Which means, the Rebbe says, durch Mesinas HaTorah zu Eden Lamata, by the Eibishter giving the Torah down here to the Eden, is in Zeh reingegeben worden der Inyan von Nitzchi. So the Inyan of eternity was put into the Eden. As sein Eden Shemos begufim. But the Guf Gashma and Zeratzma is a Hebe v'nifset, hom ze in Zichayim Nitzchi im Cheres Malachim Abbas. It made that the Eden, when the Neshamas are in the Guf, the physical Guf on its own, is not eternal. As they use the Lashon Heve v'nifset, means anything that is created, which means it's there because it became there, will not stay forever. It'll sometimes stop. The Guf Gashmi is like that. It's not eternal. Nevertheless, when the Eibishter gave the Eden the Torah, it made it should be eternal. And that's why they were free from the Malach HaMav, free from the angel of death. There's no such death. Because if they have the Torah in them, the Torah is emes eternal, they would be eternal. But the Pela wasn't like that, because not them chet egel, it was bottle geworden, because they sinned with the egel, it was bottle. Because in order for the Torah to accomplish this eternity in the person, muss Torah nicht werden in sein Guf Gashmi. In order for it to affect the person, affect the Guf, it has to be carved out. So the Rebbe connects the two meaning of the word Cherus. Cherus means carved out, and Cherus means free from the Malach HaMoves. That in order that it's bepailed to be free from the Malach HaMoves, even the body, the Torah, and this comes because the Eibishter gave him the Torah, it has to be carved in the Guf. The Torah has to be carved in the Guf. But the Chet HaEgel hat reingebracht Azume in the Guf, was verstellt of Torah. But it says the Chet HaEgel brought up a certain impurity into the body of the Eden, and that covered up on the Torah. So from then on, it's not possible that the Torah should become carved out and become united with the person's body, because there's a certain tumor that blocks it. But it's still there, but it's blocked out from actually happening. By us doing Aveda till Mashiach, we will break through the darkness. We will be mevatel, nullify this impurity at eight gates. At the end, when Mashiach will come, when this ruach atumah avim menoras, they will take away that in the order there will be no more tumah. That means in the gashmas, the part of the world, there will be no more impurity. That then we will be free from malchamavis. We will live forever. Will be eternal. The neshama will be in the guf. But this all fits to this idea that Torah is emes, and therefore Torah, wherever it comes, and if it becomes part of you, it also brings the emes, and emes means nitzchi. Now we'll understand the connection between Torah and Moshe Rabbeinu. That we said the etzem of Moshe is Torah. When those is the asbor in them as Moshe Rabbeinu mitchilas briyosei royal hoyer al Torah. This is the meaning, the explanation. What the Rabbeinu Chai says that Moshe Rabbeinu, from when he was born, he was ready, fit to shine through the Torah. Moshe is midas emes. Since Torah is emes, Moshe is midas emes. Emes a Moshe. It says in Medrash, when we have all the midas gimel yisrachmim, neitzer chesed, whatever, then it says ve'emes, that goes on Moshe. Moshe's midah is emes. Moshe's inyan is emes, which means what the father Duchim began with Torah emes. That's why it was only through him that the Torah was given, because the Torah is emes, so it was given through Moshe, who is emes. That's why the Gemara says in Bava Basra that Rabbi Barachona heard Kairach, who's swallowed in the ground, saying what was he saying? Moshe emes v'terasi emes. Moshe v'terasi emes. That when they admitted to the truth, what lotion did they use? Moshe is true and the Torah is true. They're using the word emes because the connection between Moshe and the Torah is emes. Because Moshe is emes and the Torah is emes. Now, what does it mean Moshe is emes? So the Pirish in them means, the Pshat is, as Moshe hat nicht blaze nicht gesagt etwas, was is hepech emes chas sholem. Doesn't mean that Moshe never lied, never said something the opposite of truth. That's not the meaning. Why? Ech andere befrat tzadikim, was in Yonem is an andere mit der Gdeishe chesed, or chesed, for instance, Any tzaddik, whichever midah he is, because we know Avram was chesed, Yitzchak is good, different midas. Whichever midah he is, no tzaddik will chas v'sholem ever say the opposite of truth. And in Order 52, the Rebbe says that even Aaron, which we know Aaron changed things in order to make sholem. So the Rebbe says, I explained in Lekutei Sichos Chelik Chav Daled that he didn't lie. He didn't lie. He just changed things in order to make sholem. Moshe Rabbeinu, his mitzvah was emes, even that he couldn't do. So what does it mean? Moshe is emes, not that he doesn't lie chas v'sholem. No, das meint, as in Moshe geleuchten der emes havaya, was is nitzchi on shenunim. In Moshe shined the emes havaya. We said before, emes havaya, emes Hashem la'elam, which means the nitzchias of the Eibishter, which is in Torah, that shined by Moshe Rabbeinu. The far, we finden das meiste der Moshe seine nitzchi. That's why we find that whatever Moshe Rabbeinu made is eternal. K'mayim Chazal, as der Mishkan shos Moshe is nicht chorev, nor place nignes geworden. We find the Mishkan that Moshe made was not destroyed. They hid it. When he's aimed alomdei, when he's aimed leilam leilam leilam, it's there forever. Why? Weil die Balda bei Moshe not mehr gewinnt der emes havaya v'chis meir leilam, since by Moshe shine the emes havaya, which is the emes in the world, it's the emes havaya. So therefore, even the physical things that Moshe, the gashmis that Moshe made, because it made through Moshe, whose darge is emes, and that emes is in the world, it's emes. So the gashmis things also became eternal. This is what the connection with Moshe and emes. We said now that Moshe Rabbeinu's things that he made is the darge of emes, is eternal. What about Moshe himself? It's certainly eternal. And the Chazal tell Moshe. Moshe didn't die. That just like before he served the Eden, or some shadis he served Eibush, that before when he was down here in this world, now he's still doing it. He's still alive and still doing it. What does that mean? The Chiddush in them is the specialty of this, what it means Moshe didn't die. But in Geit Tzadikim Bechlal state as a feel of Misos and Kurim Chaim. By all Tzadikim it says that even when after they die, they're called alive. They're still alive. Nochmer, see more than that. The Alter Rebbe is Mavai Baruch. The Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya Geras HaKedesh as a tzaddik was vernifter gefindt sich in Elam Hazeh noch mehr b'chayev. That a tzaddik that passes away is actually still in this world more than he was when he was alive. The life of a tzaddik is not physical life, not flesh life, spiritual life. The spiritual life of the tzaddik does not go away even after he passes away. Anything that's holy doesn't go away from its place. So it still stays here. After he passes away, in this world, to a certain degree, in a certain aspect, that's even more than it was before. Because if we're talking about the Ruchnis that stays here, there's no more limitations of the body, so it's even more than before. So by every tzaddik we say after he passes away he's alive. Nevertheless, we do not find this lotion leimes by other tzaddikim, nor blaze by Moshe, only by Moshe. Alter as a Bayankiv, Kelakam Sivches, and Bayankiv also. But first is that will explain later Sivches. But now he's talking about Moshe. So what is the meaning Moshe leimes? Besides the fact that every tzaddik after he dies is real alive. Schleim the beard and explanations like this. Beyond that tzaddik mit Rinja von Starker Bekulal mit Echen El Maze in Eifen, as a Ruchen is gefindt sich in El Maze. By other tzaddikim, when we say that they're found in this world even after they pass away, they're found in Elam Hazeh, means like this, that their ruchnius is found in this world in such a way that the Talmidim could receive hashpah from ruchnis the hashpah from the neshama of the Rebbe, and the neshama is down here. The ruchnis part didn't go away. But the life of the tzaddik is not in Gashmias. Now it's only in Ruchnis. The Gashmias body's not here. Nevertheless, they have an effect. Even in the Gashmias way, they have an effect on the Talmidim. So it comes out that even in their spiritual life, there was some change. Behind meaning, there's a change. Before the Ruchnius was in Gashmius, in a physical body. Now the Ruchnius is still there, has effect in Gashmius, but it's not put into a Gashmistic body. And the far is the Rufnit Masim, you can't say didn't die. So dying doesn't. So he quotes here in Loshnak Torah that Nofel Medarge Yikri Mes, somebody who descends to a lower madrega, is also called dying. So, but even by a tzaddik, who we say after he dies, he's still alive, but he still can't say there's no level of misa, because Lepeil, there is a change in his matzev. Before his ruchnius was in the body, now it's not in the body. Shenke B'Meisha Zokman Leimes, B'Meisha said he didn't die. Die Balda Medose shel Meisha is midas so emes, is chayav eichvis is einen gewern verbunden mit Gashma Selim, kennen them nicht sein Misa behefsik. Because Meisha is the mid of emes, as we said. So his life, the way it was before, connected to Gashmias, there's nothing that could stop it, change it. Es bleibt an Inyan Nitzchi, eich in Gashmis von Elmas, it's an eternal thing, also a physical thing. What does that mean? But his body did die. Chazal sagen is Pashtus the Meish Bechol Dore V'Dore. The Chazal tell us, isn't Tikkun Zeir, that there is a Pashtus of Meish Rabbeinu, so to speak, a connection, a continuation of Meish Rabbeinu in every generation. That means as Nishmas Meish tut sichon in the Chachmei Ador Eino Eidesh Bechol Dore V'Dore, that the neshama of Meish is put into the great people, the Chachomim of every generation, which are called the Einei Hoide, the eyes of the community. That's in every generation. Certainly the Nosi of the generation was Ein Dor Hashem B'Kamesha. Every generation has somebody like Mesha. It says Medrash. There must be a human being who's a Nosi, and in him goes in the Neshama of Mesha. So it comes out that the Neshama of Mesha, even when he dies, is in a physical body. It's just not in his physical body, it's in another physical body. Even though it's not the same body of Meisha, since the life of a tzaddik is not physical life but spiritual life, so the life of Meisha is not his body. The main thing is the Chaim Ruchnim of his neshama. And the Chaim Ruchnim shalei bleiben nicht schriben in Laz Agashmi. And the physical, spiritual life of his neshama remains in the Gashmastic thing. Durch dem wird sie tun sich in dem Guf von Nosi Adosh B'chol over there by being put into the Nosi of the generation that's in every generation. So it's Chaim Ruchnim, but it's still in a Guf Gashmi because it's put into the Guf Gashmi of the Nosi Ador of the next generation. And that's all connected. Why? Because Meish Rabbeinu is Emes. Emes in such a way that even in Gashmis it's Emes. So only by Meish we say Meish Lemes, because Meish is Emes, that has to be Emes through and through, even in the Gashmis. Yeshleimer Adosech Einer from the Burim, the Maimer Chazal Ben Gei Yaakov. The Rabbi said we could say the same thing applies in what the Chazal tell us by Yaakov. Yaakov Avinu Lemes. The Chazal say Yaakov didn't die. Then the Gemara asks, what do you mean he didn't die? They eulogized him, they embalmed him, they buried him. What was that? Then what answers? We have a posik, and for the posik we see that Mazare b'chaim avu b'chaim. If his children are alive, that means that he's alive. It's not verstandig, not understood. Wo is der Entfer of the Shaida v'chdi sovdu v'chonte v'kovru? From Posh Pshad it seems to say that we have a raya from a posik that he is alive. Since the posik connects him to his children, so his children are alive, but Mela it's a raya that he's alive. Well, how does that answer the question? The question was, you're saying he's alive. How could it be? They buried him. How does he say he's alive? So we say we have a pasuk that says that he's like he's together with his children. So the Mashotaka says, by saying that just like his children are alive, he's alive. The Gemara means to tell us as mit Yaakov in vet nit gemein sein chayaguf, that it says Yaakov didn't die doesn't mean physically with his body. In them Mistaka givem iseh. The Gemara is trying to tell us Hitaka died. You asked, they buried him. Yes, they buried Hitaka died. Norvada benefesh kamer. By comparing it to the Zara, it means since his children are alive, so Beruchnis is alive. It bleibt aber nicht moving, but it's not understood. If that's what the Gemara means, if he said, was ist der Chiddush bei Yaakov, was dafka bei ihm wird gesagt as Leimes, So what's so special by Yankiv that says he didn't die? If it only means he didn't die by Ruchnius, by jeden tzaddik seine the chaya nefesh lein. By every tzaddik, his spiritual life from his neshama is forever. So what's the mile of Yaakov? So we have to see something Yaakov has that the other tzaddikim don't. There's shleimer the beer in them. So the explanation is as follows: the proof of Yaakov avinu lei mes lagaba andere tzaddikim is zicher b'negei zayin chaim gashmi. When it says Yaakov avinu lei mes, not like other tzaddikim, means not the physical part of it. Gibalda midos Yaakov is midas emes, since the midas Yaakov is emes, like Moshe is emes, and he quotes in the order that it says in Tikkun Zeir, Moshe milagav Yankim levar. It's Moshe and Yaakov are the same madrege. One is on the outside, one is in. Anyway, the bottom line is Yaakov and Moshe are the same madrege, same midah. So midah of Yaakov is also emes. And the Pasuk says, Titin emes to Yaakov. You give emes to Yaakov. Yaakov is emes. Is the Rebbe Muchar to sagen, as Chaya Yaakov seine nitzchim umetum eichen el mazagashmi. So we say by Yaakov, same thing. You have to say that his life is physically eternal in the Gashmias. The five-frag the Gemara. So when he said Yaakov loy mes, it meant clearly even his physical body. So the Gemara v'chibichdi, but for no, did they bury him for no reason? I mean, they didn't, but they buried him. They did all the things. They embalmed his physical body. How could you say that the physical body is alive? And for the Gemara says, just like his children are alive, he's alive. Meaning to say, since his children are alive, since Yidden are alive, the children of Yaakov, and that will never change. There can't be any destruction completely of the Yidden. And the Rebbe quotes in order 71, the Gemara says, we know that the Shevet, even as one Shevet, will not be destroyed. So there has to be that Yidden will exist. So since Zare are B'chaim, forever is Avu B'chaim, he's also B'chaim, which means his physical part. How? The children's life is not different than the life of Yaakov. The children's life is the life of Yaakov, because they're his children, so his emes is transferred to the children, to the Yidden. And the Yidden have a body. And the neshama of Yaakov is now mislabish, so to speak, in the children's guf. When those guf is the sibah v'zara b'chaim, and that's like the reason why Taka are the children alive in the form of eternity, because he is in there. His life is in the Yidden. Says Chaya Yaakov. The life of the Yidden is the life of Yaakov, which is midas emes. In welches can hefsek and that can be hefsek. Kum toisa comes out Chaya Yaakov seinen aninya nitzchi eichen el maza gashmis. So the life of Yaakov is in gashmis, in the goof, but whose goof? Not in his body. It's in the body of the children, the body of the other Yidden. But it's called Yaakov's neshama. Yaakov's emes, Yaakov's nitzchias is in the neshama in the goof of the Yidden, and that's called he's alive. Now, the Chura was I'm going to ask something which doesn't say in the Sikha, but I'm just going to add it just because people have asked me the Shaila. It seems like a contradiction between one part of the Sikha and the other. Before he said Benegei Moshe, which is the same thing as Yaakov. Where do we find that Moshe Rabbeinu's body is alive? Because it goes into the body of the other Nasi, of the Nasi Shebechol Dor V'Dor, the Nasi of every generation. And here, by Yaakov, he says it goes into all the Yidden, in all the children of Yaakov. So, l'chura, what we must say here, in order that it shouldn't be a contradiction, that normally the general way is that Moshe's neshama goes into the Nosi Ador of every generation. But there is also a possibility to explain that sometimes that the neshama of Moshe goes into, like by Yaakov. He says he starts off by the same as Moshe, the same as Yaakov. So that what happens by Yaakov, that it goes, the neshama of Yaakov is in the goof of the children. And that's called that he is still begashmius lei mes, like the Loshen is lei mes begashmius, because his children are his goof. So the same thing with Moshe also. The Loshen that the Rebbe said before is that it goes into the next Nasi. But from the fact that the Rebbe later explains the way it's by Yaakov, seems to be telling you that there is a possibility sometimes that it goes into the children. Because he says by Yaakov is the same thing. Yaakov is also Nasi. The word Nasi, the Rebbe quoted many times from the Mlei Areim, is a Rosh Tevis, Nishmose, or Nitzuse Shel Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov is a Nasi. And by Yaakov it didn't go, it doesn't say it went into the next Nasi. It went into Zareh B'chaim. So from that we understand that the same thing could be by the union of Moshe, which is the same as Yaakov. It sometimes could be there. It's sometimes more Bela that it goes into the neshama of the next nasi, but it also could be in the that it goes into the zare, into those that follow the ways of Moshe, the ways of the nasi. So that neshama of Moshe is in them, and that's also called that the neshama is in a guf gashmi, and we say on that lemes. It's a possibility they say such a pshat. Otherwise, there's a contradiction here. The Rebbe says that further. Now we'll understand what we started in the beginning of the Sikha. That Rashi says that the birth of Moshe wipes out the death of Moshe. And the question was, first of all, in Seichel it doesn't make sense because that comes later. There's a posik that says that the Yema Misa is greater than the Yema Volt, etc., etc. Now we understand why. That Emes, we talk about Moshe being Emes. The nitzchias for Moshe is nit an inyan was tuv getonal tevedos. As we said before, the inyan of emes of Moshe is not something that he accomplished. That through what he did, he brought into him the nitzchias. The nitzchias for Moshe hat genommen davon, was in seine Shomer geleuchten der emes Havaye. The nitzchias of Moshe, the eternity of Moshe, is that his neshama was a neshama that in it shined the emes Havaye, Havaye lekim emes, the Eibishter is emes. That emes which is nitzchi shine the Moshe's neshama. Und das ist der Inyan, was teke b'li dosse. Noch jeder ist gewinn, die Shayach gewinn zaved in the smaller by school. That's what it means, that as he was born, before he did anything, he was just a baby of a minute old, already shined the nitzchias. Shine the Inyan of Torah, and Torah is nitzchi, so the Inyan of nitzchi shine. The nitzchias von emes Havaye was that geleuchtet bei Nishmas Moshe, that nitzchias of the emes Havaye, the eternity of the emes Hashem, but Meir given Bepel take it, it shined right away. It had to shine right away. Why? And the Rabbi explains why in the brackets. Since we're talking about what's this emes, the emes Havaye that cannot have any changes, is nitzayach kefashtel chula of the Meir. So you can't cover it up. And it can be based on changes. It's a light that is an essential light, that is a nitzchizdik light. As bleibend mit dem Tekev in alle Zmanim and Matzovim. Like we said before, in all situations, any change that happens doesn't affect it. So it has to shine in the beginning also. If it's something that could depend on something, so you could say the reason that shines is not there yet. He was just born. But if it's in the Neshama itself that shines, because it shines, it's something that is, wherever it is, the same way. So just like it'll be forever, eternal. So it's from the beginning also. So it starts off the first second. This is the Pirish from Kedai HaLeidish the Schapiro Misa. This is the meaning that the birth could wipe out the Misa, the death. The Bald, as in them talk from Leidis Meisha, geleuchten begole die Nitzchis nemes von Dishos Meisha, since in the day he was born. So right away shined the eternity and the truth of the neshama of Moshe. The fathers are delayed. Moshe's birth is explaining what he started in the beginning. Moshe is not like everybody else. Moshe's birth brought this nitzchias of emes, and that came right away, which it caused that there should be nitzchias. And what does it mean? Because it caused nitzchias, so b'meila that brought out that Moshe lemes. So it takes away the misa. We said before that because Moshe is emes, and Moshe represents nitzchias, so there's no death by Moshe. That's what the Gemara means. That what happened here, he saw Moshe died. So Moshe died, so it's an unlucky month for the Eden. So the Gemara says, no, he didn't die. That's really what the Gemara is saying. The fact that he was born, that wiped out the Misa. He was born in such a way that shined the light of Nitzchias, but Mele, that brings out the idea that he never died. Und high time is the Gemara Madgish daft kedeminya von Leid und nie dem Ilu for Yemei Salkas Moshe. The sense of the other kasha. Since the day a tzaddik dies is a very high madrege, the Alter Rebbe explained, etc., etc. So the kasha was, why did the Gemara have to say that he made a mistake? He thought it was an unlucky day. Really, it's a lucky day because Moshe was born. The Gemara could have said different. The Rebbe asked before. It's a lucky day because the death of a tzaddik is a special day. Now we know why the Gemara didn't say that. Only the fact that his birth is a inyan nitzchi, that completely wipes out the Gzeir of Hama. Why? Nicht gucken, that as much as we said before that the day of Istalkus is great. Is wie bald as when geht zu Chaim Gashmim is a fort a Ninja from Siluk. But after all, the Gabba, the physical body, the physical life, it changed, it left, bleibt to them on the Kudabilti Ritzuya. So there's something, some point negative here that is no more in the goof. There's something special about the stalk is a tzaddik, but it's not in the goof. My schenken the real from Gdai Schapiro Lamisa is in ganzem of Atli Namisa Vasilika now. But the fact that he was born, the way Mesha was born, that already shined then the emes of Torah, which is the emes of Mesha, the nitzchi is that's there. If the nitzchi is there is no death. Not the pshat death has a mile. Haman thought that the death is a chasson, and we learned to know that death has a mile. That was the kasha. No, what we're saying is not that death has also a mile. That makes the birth. I mean, the birth makes that there is no death. That's what he's saying. The fire is nicht normal says a tuvgit on the bittel from Gzeira Soman. Therefore, not only was it mavatal the Gzeira of Haman, nullified it, as the word kapore means simply loshen kinuch, had wiped it out. Now, noch mehr, it's more than that. She's geworden the chaper loshen leiten hecher in pirish in kapore. There's another pshat in kapore, a higher pshat. One pshat is wiping out. Pshat is forgive. But the Rebbe says there's another pshat, lies nachas ruach lekeinei. It's so much so wiping out that now not only you become better than before. Aninya shel chavivus noch mehr v'segivam frier. I love that even more than before. So what comes out here, that because this Yema Leida has the Leida of Moshe Rabbeinu, which is special, it brought out mechaper al the Misa, not only mechaper that's stronger than the Misa, not only mechaper there is no more Misa, it brings that it's even stronger than before. Which way do we mean? What happened is stronger? As durch them in the Tesik of Anayonta Bayid, that through the Gzeir of Haman, it changed so much so not only didn't happen, it brought something better. It made it that we should be chaviv by the Eibishter even more, by the Yonta Bayid. And in them gufek and it is itself like light that comes from darkness is a stronger light. A yonte v'simcha was aggressive now yom tevim, a strongest light, a strongest simcha which is greater than all other yom tevim. The simcha in ha'efim for nade liyade, a simcha that's so much till you don't know the difference in Baruch Haman Noruch Mordechai. I mean Baruch Mordechai Noruch Haman. I said the opposite because of just came out like that from saying Adeliyade. So it's the Mailam Dide Bagbola. It's higher than the limitations. So it's just a simcha. So this Yem HaLeida in this way changed over the bad into such a high madreget. Not only wiped it out, it made it chod before. And it's a simcha nitzchis, and it's such a simcha that is eternal, like we're talking about the whole time. It's the union of the Leida of Moshe, which is emes, which is eternal. Where do we see that the simcha that happened as a result of Purim, of Haman's Gzeira is nitzchi? Chazal say, Kol ha-meyadim asinya la-bottle, v'yemei Purim einam b'teilim leilam. All Yom Tov will become bottle, but Purim will never become bottle, will never be nullified. It's forever. So it's the connection between Purim and the Gzeir of Haman. It's all because of Leida of Moshe, which is the nitzchias, which is not his Aveda, it's not what he did, and that happened by the Leida, that's Nisgala by the Leida, and that brought out the bit like Gzeir. And Haman didn't know all that. That's why Haman thought it was a good idea that it was Moshe's passing. And the Gemara says, no, really, it's Moshe Rabbeinu's birth. So Rashi, know what kind of birth? A kind of birth that is mechaper alamisa, and it brings the nitzchias even in things which are chayshach, etc. It brings it even higher.